I have a gentle morning warm up routine for you today that'll help mobilize your core and get you moving nice and fluidly. After I do the routine, I'm going to connect some of the movements to a walking pattern that'll help with your posture and more fluid walking. I've designed this routine specifically so that you don't have to do any stepping, so it's perfect if you have any balance issues. Let's begin. One foot is going to be straight forward and then step out with the other foot directly in line with the first foot but angled out at 45 degrees. Now we're going to do a few different transitions beginning from the same motions, but bringing the end of the motion up into either a standing position or a walking step in a very slow, controlled, and methodical manner using your core. I'm also going to slow down some of the movements and break them down into their individual components so you can see where the individual core patterns are going to change. So each time I pause and then begin again, you're going to know that the restarting is a different motion of the core from what we were doing previously. For those of you who are studying the walking code or studying Tai Chi, I'm going to briefly go through which of the 8 postures or the 8 energies are being used in each of the movements that I did during the earlier routine. I'm going to use the walking code terminology. If you are interested in learning the walking code, please sign up for the course, and it will be a great benefit, I believe, for your walking technique and your overall body movement. For those of you who are not studying the walking code, I'm not going to detail each of the core movements. I'm only going to explain which of the specific techniques is being used. We begin in sync, powered by flexion of the left hip. Set, powered by flexion of the right hip. Retreat, powered by flexion of the left hip. Set, flexion of the left hip. Sink, flexion of the left hip. The next movement after parting the wild horse's mane, which we just did, is going to be brush knee. Shoulder strike or reach back, powered by extension of the left hip. Sink, powered by flexion of the left hip. Lift, powered by flexion of the left hip. Push, powered by extension of the right hip. Now we're going to move into cloud hands with reach, powered by extension of the left hip. Reach back, powered by extension of the left hip. Reach is the equivalent of pluck. Reach back is the equivalent of shoulder strike. Reach with extension of the right hip. Reach back with extension of the right hip. Now we're going to transition to Fair Lady Works the Shuttle. Set, flexion of the left hip. Sink, flexion of the left hip. Reach, extension of the right hip. Push, extension of the right hip. Now we're going to transition into Grasp the Sparrow's Tail. Set with flexion of the left hip. Sink with flexion of the left hip. Ward off with extension of the right hip, which in the walking code is pulse. Shoulder strike or reach back. Retreat or roll back. Set or split in Tai Chi. Sink or elbow strike in Tai Chi. Press, which is Tai Chi, or lift in the walking code. Push, which is the terminology for both Tai Chi and the walking code. Lift, this is powered by flexion of the left hip. Press is the Tai Chi terminology, and then push with extension of the right hip. If you're interested in learning what the core movements are for each of those 8 techniques, which are set, sink, lift, retreat, all using flexion of the hip for power, and then 4 techniques using hip extension, which are pulse, reach, reach back, and push.